Hello and welcome to Direct Approach with Wayne Moorehead, an exclusive podcast by Direct Selling News, where host Wayne interviews the channel's leading corporate executives to provide timely insights and relevant takeaways to help you grow and evolve your businesses. Today's episode is a special interview from the recent 2022 Direct Selling University event held in Frisco, Texas. And this is where Wayne sat down with Brian Underwood, co-founder and CEO of Prüvit, and Terry LaCore, founder and CEO of LACORE Enterprises. As president, founder, and CEO of LACORE Enterprises, Terry LaCore is a respected entrepreneur with expertise in sales and distribution. He has leveraged that experience to start multiple successful companies, including BHIP and Prüvit. His global experience makes him a sought-after consultant for logistics management strategy, and he continues seeking out new ideas and products that make a positive difference in the world. Brian Underwood is a successful entrepreneur, thought leader, philanthropist, and host of the top-rated business podcast, Be You with Be You. He also is the co-founder and CEO of Prüvit, and since establishing the company in 2015, he has grown it into a leader in the ketone technology space. Prüvit recently ranked 21st on the 2022 DSN Global 100 list with more than $598 million in revenue for 2021. In this interview, Brian and Terry sit down with Wayne to look back at the creation and growth of Prüvit, what they've learned along the way, and what they would have done differently. They talk about the impact of Amazon on the direct selling industry and how leaders can use it as a tool for growth. Then they give a behind-the-scenes look into Prüvit's recent merger with at-home meal kit company Sunbasket to create PSB Holdings, a new company valued at $1.3 billion. They explain how they identified the right partner for Prüvit and how they're bringing a brand new dynamic to the direct selling channel. We invite you to join the new DSN VIP community. It's how busy direct selling executives keep up with what's happening in the channel in real time through the convenience of text. It's another free resource from Direct Selling News. Simply text the word JOIN to 214-239-3043 and follow the prompts to add DSN as a contact in your phone. There's no separate app to download. Tell us what types of stories and news you want to receive, and DSN will create a custom news feed just for you. We invite you to try this free resource from DSN. You can opt out at any time, and you can change the types of stories that you want at any time as well. Just text us, and our team will respond back and make those updates for you. Text 214-239-3043 and join the DSN VIP community today. We also want to thank this episode's sponsor and DSN premier supplier sponsor, Exego. In an industry that demands adaptability, Exego delivers unrivaled access to the data that drives your business, from CRM to transactions to commissions. Flexible, scalable, and powerful, with Exego, the possibilities are unlimited. Learn more at exego.com. That is EXIGO.com. And now, please help me welcome your host, Wayne Moorehead, and today's guests, Brian Underwood, co-founder and CEO of Prüvit, and Terry LaCore, founder and CEO of LACORE Enterprises.
I am honored and excited to be here today with these two incredible innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders in the direct selling space. Terry, Brian, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, every great superhero has an origin story, and I'd love to liken that onto Prüvit. So, Brian, do you mind telling us a little bit about the founding of the company, how you came up with, saw the need for the opportunity, and what really drove you to launch the company?
That's a great question. What really drove me to launch the company was this guy, to be honest. Just came off of, I hate to use the word failure, but just came off of a learning experience, I guess. And I believe in life, sometimes, people have faith in those that have faith in other people. And Terry said, "What are you going to do next? Time to get back on the horse. Let's get back on the horse." And that's a true story. And at that time, my biggest passion, by being in this industry for 27 years and seeing it grow and seeing, as we heard earlier, just, times change, is how do we do something that hasn't been done? How do we transcend this industry to where we can actually develop a real brand And so I knew that I wanted to go into consumables, but do something that was different, something that was unique. Being around manufacturing, there's a lot of similar products, right, that have similar functionality. And call it divine timing, call it luck, call it, I guess, not being smart enough about products to say, oh, we can do that. There was a group, trying to sell a patent to commercialize or develop exogenous ketone product. And I guess we were just in the right place, right time. And I guess we said, let's do that. Like, that will work. And because at the time I was doing a lot of education just on biohacking and things of that nature. So understanding that it wasn't about the diet, and it was about what ketones did as a fuel source, and what it did to the brain and different things like that. It just, I knew that it was something that had to be educated out in the market because no one had seen it. So that's how Prüvit started. And we had the name of Prüvit before we ever even had the product, because for us, it was about inspiring other people, like to go for it, challenging yourself. And actually a good friend of mine that up on the front row came up with the name of the product. He was starting an apparel company called Prüvit. And we were in the kitchen of my home, and I said, what's your shirt mean? And he goes, well, your it is your goal, your dream, your destiny, your calling. But to prove it means to demonstrate that it's real. So if you want to be a better father, that's great. Go prove it. You want to lose 50 pounds, go prove it. You want to be success in business, go prove it. And I said, oh, that's good. So we're going to use that. I don't know what we're going to use it for. And then it just worked out that, our technology, you could prove that it's utilized as a fuel source in the body. So kind of had a symbiotic meaning as well.
I love all the meaning that's nested inside of that name, and how it can extend across the product side, the opportunity side. It's amazing how much direction even a name, let alone a vision and an incredible product can have. So I know you went through a lot of product concepts before you really landed on the exogenous ketones. How did you know that you landed on the right concept?
When we got about 17,000 orders back ordered in the first 30 days.
That's good. Yes, you always want to prove it and make sure that the demand is there. Absolutely. I'm going to shift to Terry for a second. Terry, you're a prolific investor. You have funded and founded so many companies in the industry that over about the last decade have done about $10 billion in sales. What is it about the direct selling channel as an investor from your perspective that excites you the most?
Well, I guess everything else I've ever done, I failed at. So I got in the industry 27 years ago when I was a junior in college as a distributor, and kind of came up through the industry. So, they say Richest Man in Babylon is probably the best book that ever guided me in my life. Stay with what you know. So every time I think I'm smart and I get into investing into other businesses, other industries, taking the profits and the lifestyle that this industry has given me, trying to diversify, it hasn't worked out so well. So, I love the industry. I love seeing people change their lives as I did. I'm the story of this industry. I'm an example of what can happen if somebody's just shared the opportunity. And so I'm a big believer, been a believer forever, and enjoy every day of my life doing it. I get to meet new people, back new people, get to see people that change their lives, whether it be a new owner that we're backing, whether it be a new product we're backing, a new concept that we take to one of our companies or one of the companies in the portfolio. So in general, just love the business and believe in it 110%. Always have and always will.
It has been an incredible channel. So many people have made money. So many companies have generated incredible revenue over the incredible 100-year history that we have all had. And I think that obviously you have been able to identify the opportunity. One of the things that Stuart and others with the SPAC and the direct selling capital has identified, that I think Wall Street and other investors are starting to really take notice and see what's going on. I think it's fascinating that direct selling has some of the largest brands in their product categories. Prüvit's one of them. And I think others are starting to really take notice. So again, I think that's something that we can all be proud of, that this incredible channel literally has, whether it's weight management, whether it's beauty, whether it's skincare, whether it's personal care. If you think about this, we probably know the names of those brands in the channel that come to our mind right away, some of the largest in the category. And Brian, as you mentioned, education. So as a category leader, one of the main strategies for growing your company is to also grow the category. I know that education around ketones and exogenous ketones has been huge for you and your company. Can you talk a little bit about the educational strategy that you've had?
Sure. When we launched the company, there wasn't a category. No one understood it. Even to this day, very few people even understand what ketones are or aren't. But I think that it also paralleled with a passion that I had. I think that marketing, which, in the CEO forum yesterday was kind of a common theme of how everything is shifting. And our industry has shifted, and it really is about leading with value. And the ultimate value is education. If you can educate people, which is it's a blessing and a curse, because if you don't have something to educate people on, then what value is really there in your product, right? That's what we had to do, but it was also something we were passionate about doing, because if we can lead with value and we can educate people on something that they knew nothing about, we don't have to sell them anything. Their curiosity alone is going to want to try it. It's no different than, she was just talking about wine and what they're doing. Well, they're now educating a huge consumer base on what that wine is and what it does and why it's better and why it's healthier, right? Well, people are automatically going to buy it. They don't even have to sell it at that point. And then if it's good and you get results, then you're going to have stickiness. That's the jargon word that everyone uses. And so that's really what we did. At that time, I read a book called Play Bigger. And it's kind of been our philosophy. What Terry just said a few seconds ago was, you grow where you're planted. And in this book, one of the takeaways is that I think everybody goes out and they look for a hero product. It's something, the term used in our industry for so long. And one of the things the book says is, when you have a hero product or a category product and you become a category king, you double and triple down on what you know. You don't go out and try to find another hero product or a category king, because you cannibalize what you're the best at. And so right now, there's still a lot of runway just on education and value to be led, and then the experience of delivery of what the technology does.
Absolutely. I think it's really important to drill deep where you're at first before you ever even think of extending, even geographically, let alone from a product category. But drill deep where you're at. There's so much potential. You're at about 300, with the Sunbasket merger, several hundred, maybe I'm not even getting into numbers, but several $100 million in this category, with enormous awareness still to be reached, enormous potential. One of the things I think that you and that Prüvit have done so well in the education is make it really simple. Like really simple, really shareable. Obviously, there's really complex science at the heart of ketones and ketosis, but you've made it so simple. And I think a lot of us, have a tendency sometimes to over-explain, to over-science and overwhelm our customers and our distributors, where they can kind of get lost in that story a little bit and feel that they need to be, an expert or a scientist as well. And it can really slow down the duplication process, the sharing of that product. How have you gone about keeping it so simple and so effective?
Simple is a great strategy, and it's something that it's a practice that you always have to work on. I think just the awareness of keeping it simple, but also giving enough depth that people can validate that it's not just another protein drink, so to speak. I don't mean that in a condescending way, but it's the truth. So it is a balance. It's a dance. And I think that's even a dance in marketing, right? The most powerful marketing is the most simple marketing. And it's something that internally that we're constantly, every year or two, because I went and asked Terry just a second ago, we have 72 or 74 just flavor SKUs of our one product. And I don't think there's a contract manufacturer in the world that would do that for a client. And I think that's one of the benefits that we have by partnering with Terry. And he yelled at me for years about doing it. But the point is, it creates a little complexity, right? So we have to constantly simplify that down, even in the point of purchase. So I think the awareness is the most important. We don't do a perfect job of it for sure. But if we have that awareness, we're constantly practicing keeping it in front of us.
Yeah, simple is definitely not easy, and you've excelled at that. And to your point, I think you've done a great job of not overwhelming kind of those cold audiences, those people that are just getting to understand Prüvit and ketones. but you also let them dig deep. You also provide that additional, scientific information, features, benefits. You're able to kind of lead them a little bit along that path so that they can continue to learn more and more. So on the product front, you talked about Terry's, amazing ability with product development, product manufacturing, his amazing prowess there. So I want to talk a little bit about the Prüvit formula. So you have a formula that nobody else really has. So this exclusive around exogenous ketones, you've been able to focus on that. How important has that kind of exclusivity, that positioning been, this kind of competitive moat that you've created? How as important has it been to the success of Prüvit?
Extremely. I mean, anyone in the room that sells a product that no one else can sell, even a kind of like story. There's not even a kind of like story. When you look at ketones, there's currently 26 patents around the technology. So pretty much any twist or turn, it's not capable unless it's under the patents. So you'll see keto-friendly products, which means, low carb, high fat, moderate protein, but true exogenous ketones, I don't know of another company selling them. So when you have that advantage that there's not another company, it's a lot. Flavors, they do a drop every 30 to 45 days. So we have 14 people that do nothing all day long but working on the next flavor, whether it's a green type flavor for St. Pat's Day, root beer for National Root Beer Day, pumpkin spice, on and on and on. I mean, so whether it be our canned beverages, the powdered beverages, or the shots, it's nonstop flavor. What I've seen on the backside, which is anybody operationally hates what they're doing, because it's just really difficult to continue to do that. But from a selling standpoint, it's unique because their provers are re-exposing their database to the exact same product once every 30 to 45 days, but with a whole new flavor. So it's very seasonal, like Starbucks does. But if you had someone it's a friend on your social page, call it 500 people, 1,000 people, don't really care, and you expose the same flavor, same product over and over and over, you're going to get a law of diminishing returns. If you put up a new flavor for pumpkin spice, what's going to happen? Some of the old customers that tried it before said, oh, I want to try that. Some of the people that never tried it says, oh, pumpkin spice sounds good, where Maui Punch didn't sound good, and so on. So I think it's a brilliant marketing thing. We're starting to get, I think, really good at it, but it's taken years to get streamlined, to be good at it, and to be able to do it cost effectively.
Absolutely. I think there's a really valuable lesson in that, especially in the flavor strategy, where you came out with a really innovative product, like nothing out there before, a category creator, but you've continued to innovate. And innovation doesn't always need to be this huge disruption, this disruptive innovation that you brought out. It can be more of this incremental innovation around delivery systems, around flavors. And I think that limited time, that scarcity model that you've brought in really creates so much excitement, so much demand, and to your point, allows them to go back to their warm audience again and again and again without having to extend the line so far from a category perspective or a product line extension. I think that's really, really brilliant. So shifting in again on the product sales. So one of the big topics I know in all of our companies right now is Amazon. It's impacted all of our businesses, and all of us are a little bit uncertain of how to tackle this. How is the field going to respond? And I think that you and Prüvit have done an amazing job of addressing Amazon. Amazon is the second largest search engine. It's where the majority of all product searches begin. So it's something that's really impossible for us to ignore. Can you talk a little bit about the strategy that Prüvit took and how the field received it and how it's been successful to this point?
Yes, it's been a journey, of Rubik's Cube of figuring out. I think what we decided to do is embrace it and look to control it with our patents, to utilize a brand gate. And the reality of it is there's a lot of consumers that might or might not want to buy from a distributor of a direct sales company, but they still want the product because of all the education that's out there. And I think we've done a fairly decent job at an early stage of creating that awareness and that demand. And so the neutrality of being able to go to Amazon and purchase it is something that we wanted to provide in the marketplace, because when people utilize it, they're going to talk about it, which brings validation to our community and to our sales reps. And so we did that, but what we wanted to do is also put into place an opportunity so where the field doesn't feel like they're cannibalized, but they can share in any of the benefits. And so, we created a framework around making sure that we protected by chance someone referred them and they went to Amazon to get it. We have a system in place to make sure that we can identify that person if it was referred by a promoter. But then also if it was somebody just random because they heard about ketones at maybe they saw an advertisement at a soccer game, then they went to Amazon and got it, that the entire community can share in that profit as well.
And helping to kind of develop the commission structure around the field benefiting from the Amazon sales, did that make it a little more palatable to them? Did it kind of avoid any of the potential channel conflict?
Yeah, for sure it did. Early on, a lot of times 99% of the things that we worry about never really impact our business. And I think that Amazon, this is just my personal perspective, for a lot of people, they can blow it more out of proportion than the actual reality of how it impacts their business. And I think that we did a really good job early on when we didn't have the brand gate and the solution set up of really leading with the conversation. So it was an open, vulnerable conversation with everyone to really drill down into, well, how is this really impacting your business? Or is it more the perception of how it could? And so, I think that we desensitized that early on, but with a plan of let's figure this out, because Amazon's not going away, so how do we embrace it and use it as a tool to grow everyone, instead of, fighting it?
Absolutely. And sometimes we allow a few kind of loud voices, I think, in the field to shut certain programs and promotions down that ultimately are great for the field, that are great for the long-term health and viability of the company. Terry, I want to shift to you. So as an entrepreneur, you've always been able to, look down the road and connect the dots from an opportunity standpoint. You see some of those changes, innovations happening, and then you go to meet it. Can you talk a little bit about the recent merger that you did with Prüvit and Sunbasket, what you saw there and what you saw the synergies would be?
Yeah, I think it's a very important piece to the future. The future will tell that. But one of the biggest challenges when you're any type of, whether it be health and wellness product, or whether it be a weight loss product, specifically in ketones itself, if you introduce keto to anyone, first they think it's a diet, right? And although Prüvit doesn't promote it as you should change your food necessarily all the time, when you do want to get into a ketogenic diet, you don't know what to eat, right? You walk in with your family to a restaurant, you're trying to figure out what you order. You walk into a fast food place, you try to figure out what to order, and you'll notice people trying to do it is eating steak, bacon. They're going to In-N-Out Burger, ordering, two double cheeseburgers, animal style with, lettuce as the bun. And this is the meal pretty much that's being prepared. So what we're able to do now is we designed a complete line of ketogenic meals that we are able to deliver on a nationwide basis to a person's home. It's all organic, non-GMO, non-frozen, the highest level of meat, proteins, vegetables, and we're able to deliver it to them in 3 minutes in the microwave. They have a 5-star meal, and it's 100% meets all the macronutrients that you would want them to eat if they were in a perfect ketogenic diet. At the Sunbasket level, we have over 3,800 different recipes and meals that we can prepare and deliver to the consumer at home. One of the lines now being ketogenic line, which Prüvit allows their reps and to retail out to just the general public. And we're currently delivering those meals effective in January.
So Sunbasket is an incredible company, amazing products. How did you identify that as the right company to merge with?
Generally, I'm looking on the backside. A lot of your food prep companies out there, other than a couple of the major ones, they're all outsourcing the preps. right? So they're going to a co-packer. The one thing that we really was impressed with Sunbasket, they have their own kitchens, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. They deliver over 350,000 meals a week already. So it's not some new concept that we're trying to implement. And it's extremely, extremely complicated. When you're delivering a meal that's never been frozen, that's not frozen, right? Your lettuces, for an example, have to never go below 33 degrees, never go above 38 degrees, or they're going to spoil. Your meat's 33 degrees to 41 degrees. You're shipping it from California to Texas, right? So we have line hauls, refrigerated line hauls going to every major city, dropping off last mile FedEx delivery, so the food gets to the consumer's house without spoiling and still having 7 to 10 days at the end, if the consumer doesn't freeze it, that they can put it in a microwave 3 minutes later and eat it. So it's a very complex system. They had it figured out technology-wise, operationally, so it made the most sense for us.
That's amazing. Again, congrats on another amazing innovation, bringing ready-to-eat meals into the direct selling space. So one of the things that I know that I've heard John Fleming talk about many times is this idea of community, where other brands, other channels, that is the one thing that they're not able to really replicate that we do most differently from other channels is the ability to bring people together and build community. I know that that's been a huge ingredient to the success of Prüvit, your community marketing. With that, as part of that, you have an incredible 10-to-1, customer ratio, which is just phenomenal. So congrats on that, by the way, again. Talk a little bit about how you approach community marketing.
Well, I mean, I think that's why we're all here,
Sure.
is the value of a person. And I think, for us, I think the real currency is the roles that we play in the lives of other people. And if we can keep that in our forefront, a lot of times when you do have business conversations and we do awards on revenues, we can get so fixated on the money, we forget that in this space, it truly is, identifying not the numbers, but the depth. Like if you want to scale, you gotta, and it's the depth to me of not just a surface relationship. And so, for us, community isn't something that's everything, just like probably most people in this room, but really identifying it with, what is our real currency? And it's the roles that we play in the lives of others, which it's not just about recognizing the achievers. I think that everyone thinks that that's what it's about. But in doing that, sometimes we also, when we recognize those achievers, which must be done, we disempower the person that's not ready to achieve at that level yet. And that person has just as much value in a community as the person that's driving most of the sales. And if you disempower that person, you can't ever get growth. One of the things that I heard going through the CEO forum last night was people leaving and, having to compete with these influencers and micro-influencers, but that's been part of our industry for years, right? The real goal is not about the entitlement mentality. It's about building people from the ground up. So constantly finding the new person, and not diminishing their value, but constantly feeding that so they can increase to be that achiever. And so we've worked really, really hard on, we probably need to do a better job of recognizing our high achievers, right? I mean, they probably, feel, because we spend so much time recognizing people for being human beings. Like we have an entire department, which we're probably the most proud of if you come to Louisville. It's called the Heart Department. And that department is put in place literally to recognize, others and humans. Whether your dog dies, you're going to get a gift from us if we hear about it. Whether you're going through a rough time, you get your first customer, you had something that was leaving. And we really look for high level of collaboration with our team and our provers or the community to give us that feedback so we can actually help support them on recognizing that. But that's what a real community does, in my personal opinion. And I think sometimes we get so focused on the numbers and the achievement, we miss what real community is about. So that's just our philosophy. Not that it's right or wrong, but it's something that we believe passionately
I
about.
love that.
And just real quick on it, one of the key things he said that I haven't seen before is, literally they're looking for things in someone's life that's new in the company that had nothing to do with selling a piece of product or making a single penny for anyone, and trying to go show, hey, we care about that your pet had to go to the get fixed, or that this happened in your life or this happened in your life. I think it's a key ingredient.
I love that. So we have about 1 minute left. So I'm going to ask each of you one final kind of quick question. So you're several years in now, several $100 million. If you could go back and give yourself the day you started, the day you went to Terry, with a great product that you identified, what advice would you give yourself?
I could come up with a lot. I would say setting your ego to the side is a practice, and you got to constantly practice that, especially in business. It's something that I've actually learned from Terry. He's not only a great partner, he's a great friend and a great mentor. But that would probably be the one piece of advice, to constantly remind myself that it's about the process, and you got to set your ego to the side, and you got to keep practicing that if you're going to win long term.
I love that. Ego is the enemy.
Yes.
Ego is the enemy. Okay, Terry, you have...
As an investor, I would have went in more, right? Not just as an owner, but doing all the manufacturing. I would have roboted everything. So we're more efficient. You just can't bet that someone's going to go from 0 to 390 million a year in a short period of time. And so you have all these growing phases where you buy more equipment, and then you go buy more equipment, and you keep upgrading the equipment. I would have just bought the best equipment first and saved a whole lot of time and money.
That is the perfect answer to end on. Thank you both. Congratulations.
We wouldn't have had the fun of the struggle, though.
So everybody, more robots. If you take anything away from this speech, it's more robots. Well, congrats on your success. Thank you for continuing to innovate and show all of us great ways to lead, and leading with a community-centric approach. Congrats. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this special episode. We invite you to subscribe so that you are the first to know when new episodes are available. We also hope you join the new DSN VIP community to stay in the know on what's happening in the channel in real time by receiving the news you want most in text. Text DSN today at 214-239-3043. Thank you as always for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.